Here we have now moved into section 4 of lesson 5-1, which covers questions 11 through 13. On the previous two slides, you would have seen this paragraph that I would have already gone through, along with this diagram that's over here to the side in the My Notes section. And you would have also seen this math tip that talked about in item 12, thinking about the x coordinates as endpoints, and in item 13, thinking about the y coordinates of the endpoints, because we're talking about horizontal and vertical legs. In this section of questions, you're asked, what are the coordinates of the points of the vertex of the right angle in the triangle over here in the My Notes section? Then it says, write an expression for the length of the horizontal leg, and then write an expression for the length of the vertical leg. Again, still referring to this picture over in the My Notes section. Now, this is a little abstract. We're not dealing with actual numbers. We're talking about in general. We're trying to create this general formula. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to talk this over with your table mates and answer questions 11 through 13 before we come back. Whole group, please go ahead and pause your video now. As you can now see that the answers to questions 11 through 13 have now been provided. You'll see that in question number 11, I use the x coordinate of the top point, or the second coordinate, and I use the y coordinate of the first point, because remember, it's the x is the same on your vertical line and your y is the same on the horizontal line. Then here in question 12, remember that when we're finding horizontal legs, my y's are different. My y's are the same and my x's are different. So I did x1 minus x2 in absolute value, or x2 minus x1 in absolute value. Now, the reason we want to put the absolute value bars here is because when we deal with this, we don't want a negative number. So we don't want that negative. So I'm going to omit getting the negative, because whenever I talk about length, the answer should never be a negative value. It just determines if it has a negative, it's just telling me, am I going left or right or up or down regarding on what direction it's in. Because not necessarily will it always have the triangle in the quadrant 1 area. That's just the way we originally generate the equation. So then in 13, again, I did the y values here when I subtracted, because the x coordinates were already the same. So I did y2 minus y1, or y1 minus y2 in absolute value, because I don't want a negative number. But here's the key. When we get to formulating this in a little bit, we're going to want to keep them in the same order. So if we choose to do the second point first, we need to stay with keeping the second point first, or vice versa. If we choose to use the first point first, then we need to make sure that when we deal with the y's, we're also putting it first there as well. So keep that in mind. On to your debriefing question.